Okay, so it's on to the finishing off bits. There's a few little elements we're going to do for the finishing off bits, probably a little bit longer than normally. But I think we should do this face, make that. There are certain parts of the painting that will give you a little bit of a lift, a little bit of joy, and I think finishing that off will help us see the overall picture. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my number 10, and we're going to wet down. Now be really careful, again, it's a good sitting down job. So we're going to wet down the face. Come right up against that, the beak. Touch bits of face, sorry. watching that grey gently blend. But you might find exactly as this is doing, just the bleeding will give you enough colour. We don't need to add any more. Depends. So have a look at, again, it's going to be a case of having a look at your own piece. And what we're going to do is very carefully come up against that, go into the face, into the head, and we're going to try to reserve the yellow rim. Now, like mine, it's a bit big at the moment, so I can close that down. I'll go back to my little tiny brush and say I am squinting from a bit of distance, but let's try and close that in. And we're just going to put a little bit more strength if needed. Just take your time, gently keep working around, keep closing that down. So you're left with a thin white line around the eye, and we'll just colour that in once it's dry. Go really carefully, take your time. As I say, it's really hard if you make it too small, it's very hard to get out again, so to really just take your time. Okay, I think I've got enough colour on there. That's done the job for me just by wetting that down, allowing that little mouthpiece to gently blend, and the colour from the head, and that's enough. But what we can do just round the outside here, adding too much water, pick up these two colours. So I've got the madder and the orange. So I'm just going to very gently and very carefully tap round, just to give a little bit more strength around the eye. If you squint your eye to that reference photo, you can see what I mean. It's quite where that yellow rim meets the head, it's quite dark. We'll gently blend this out in a minute just to stop any watermarks. Okay, put those two colours down, pick up my number 10. I'm just going to gently wet those edges. I can use my finger, make a little squidge. And you can always come out a little bit. There's that lovely line still, isn't there? So you can draw that out a little bit. A bit of a squidge. You don't want to lose this light here, so be careful you don't allow the paint to take away your light. Now, if this wasn't dark enough, you could carry on wetting this a little bit further down. Add a bit more colour or take it out. I'm going to take a little bit out. There's a lovely sense of light here, so I'm going to actually take a bit out. If you haven't put enough strength in there, you can add a little bit more strength, and then with your brush, let me show you. Add that in. It's really lovely and strong. Clean your brush. Take the excess moisture off. What you don't want to do is clean your brush and then go straight in again, because you're going to have loaded your brush up too much with too much water. And then you can, it's sort of like sculpting, you can just gently suck up some of the colour. So you're taking out sort of the number 2 layer, I suppose, and leaving the first layer. Just checking that I haven't lost some of that nice colour there as I've poured. Also, as I've wet further out, it's obviously allowed the colour to then run a little bit. Right, let's take my brush away, see what I think. I think that's looking all right. It's a little stark at the moment because it's obviously the yellow needs to go in. Shut that down a little bit more. I'm playing a risky game here. Oh, yeah, I knew I would be. I'm too far away. Right, I shall leave that for a minute. If you ever have anything like that and it gets a bit mucky, just leave it to dry, and I would try and take that out. But that was me being overconfident there. Okay, we can just go back into the face a little bit. Put my tiny brush down. Pick up my 10. Now this is coloured really well. If you haven't, and some of my practice pieces I had to add a little bit of colour in, but it's the minutest amounts just to give you a little bit of shadow, a little bit of depth, a bit of sort of form. And I will put a little bit there, as you can see there's a darker area. Just there, just tapping in very gently. Again, everything's very loose. I actually will put a little bit of colour, a little bit of the grey underneath that where the head meets. You can see that gives you a little bit more strength. We'll put some of those very fine lines in, but that needs to sort of dry first. Clean your brush first, Jane. Again, you can sort of take any light out, squint. There's quite a nice bit of light here, and we need to actually to soften this, don't we? So again, we can go into the peachy part of the beak. Give it a bit of a rustle. You can soften that line down a bit. You do it with your finger. A little bit of paper towel, kitchen roll. Just kind of want to get rid of that very sort of hard line I had there, so that's softened it. Lovely. Right, I'm going to allow that to dry, and I'm just going to do this little bit here because it's a funny little part that's easy to forget. So that's this little part underneath the beak, just the back of the body really. So we're going to wet it down, touch right up against the neck, and all we're going to do, let's use a little, doesn't really matter what colour. Obviously this is very pink. Actually, I might use the burnt orange and take my advice. This is very pink, use the orange, and vice versa. Just go right, just tap it in along the far, sort of right underneath the beak and right against the neck, and it should just gently blend out. If it doesn't, you can just give it a little tease out. Yeah, that's enough. We don't want to do too much more. Now, we need to do the legs. And I've got a spare bit of card here. I can show you how I do those. Let's move that out of the way for a minute. A little bit of spare paper. Now, they are, she says, they're fairly simple. You just need a quick action. Now, get your bigger brush. Clean it off, make sure it's nice and dry. Take the excess moisture off, you don't want it too wet. Nice amount of paint on your brush, and it's just a sweep. Bit dry, too dry, so too wet. Almost perfect, oh no. Just a quick sweep. Some will work better than others. Just put a little bit of grey on there as well. So sometimes you've just got the right amount. It's best just to quickly transfer. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. So let's transfer that. Let's pick up my painting again. Let's bring that back. Okay. Deep breath. And we're going to, again, start from the top and a quick action down. Same again, sometimes your brush is just about right, so it's actually tiny bit of pink, just can't help myself. And again, start at the top, a little bit of a wiggle, come down. That's gone a little far, but don't worry, I think I will, if it's something like that, I can take that back out again. But what I really love is those little bits of light that's been left in there. Now with your smaller brush, you can just give a little bit of tinker, just to give it a little bit of shape. Yeah. Again, sort of squidge it into the body so they don't look like they're too stuck. And that, folks, is really your legs. And once it's dry, I will just take a little, with the eradicator brush, I'll probably just take a little bit out because that's gone a little bit of array. Okay, now that should be dry enough, but what I'm going to do is just whiz a hairdryer over, make sure it is dry, and then we can put that yellow rim round. Okay, so with your small brush, first I need to get rid of that bit of colour. Okay, I think that will do. Maybe yellow. Just going to paint it in. It's nothing fancy. All makes sense then, doesn't it? Oh, I think that's worked pretty well. Now I probably when I go off camera, I'll probably just close that down a little bit, but I can't get that close to it, and I will probably just spend a little time looking at the reference photo and just making any adjustments I feel are necessary. I think there's a tiny little bit of dark here that needs to go in as well, but I'm working a little way away. But just have a look at your own piece. I don't know quite where you're at and what needs to be done, but say take a good look at the reference photo and just tinker where necessary. So we've done this little bit down here, so just be mindful if that's a little bit wet. I'm just going to take this out, see if I can do that. Just grab myself a clean picture kitchen roll. I'm just going to see if I can. A synthetic brush is usually better for doing this. These are. There we go, that softened that down. It was troubling me. I'm not sure if I could have carried on. Seeing my rather weird leg. Lovely. Okay, so what we're going to do is just go round and take any light we feel necessary to take out. Let's be methodical. This I really like. I don't really want to take any out, but you could soften some little areas down if you feel that it got a little bit heavy. If you felt too much paint ran up to the top there when you did that very first layer, you can say very gently take some colour out. Just such as the head's got a nice lump of colour on, so again we can just very gently with a nice soft brush. I have got my little eradicated brush, but it's a little harsh, so I don't want to take any, and it does lines very well, but not large areas. So that's nice. Just squinting my eyes, having a look as I come down. I don't really, these are beautiful here, all that salt marks and water marks, and you don't really want to be messing with that too much. I'm quite happy with the feather marks there, but if you felt you needed a few more, again, you can add a couple more if yours weren't sort of bold enough, but I like that. Now, my neck, I think, got a little fat, if I'm honest. I think I lost my pencil mark, so I'm just going to see if I can re-find that lighter area. Yeah, that's probably just enough. I think it's a little thick, but I'm not sure I can make that. It's gone a little thick. Yeah, that's fine. Now there is a nice lump of light here as well. But looking at my piece, I'm not sure if I want to take any colour out. I like how that paint sort of evolved and how it's left me some nice patterns. So sometimes you have to look at your own picture and see and have a, you know, be a gauge, be a sort of a judge of your own piece, and don't be afraid if there is light there but you like your piece, you don't have to take it out. If you like what you see, there is a little bit of light here. I'm just going to very gently take a tiny bit out there, just very gently. As I say, there's some really lovely salt marks there, so I don't want to do too much. So I come around here, we've done the head. I lost that little bit of light here. We were fiddling, weren't we, up here? So I'm just going to gently take a little bit of light out of there. Okay, I think the beak needs a little bit of attention. So bring back my eradicator brush. And we're just looking for the light and little lines. There's a lovely little line coming down here. Go gentle, because these colours, at least the colours I got, lift out quite easily, so you don't want to scrub too much. There's another one here. We will put the little line in a minute with some little bit of white gouache, but this is a little chunky to put that in using the brush. Now again, if you feel you want to tinker with this line a little bit more, then you can. I'm happy with mine, but you can make yours a little thicker if you feel you need to. I'm actually going to put such a little white line that runs along that dark edge. Let me get that out. A little bit here. I don't want to take too much of this out. So it's really a case of going around your own piece, because we're all going to be quite different at this stage. So it's looking at your own piece and seeing if you need light out. You may not. Take a little bit out the front there. It's often something quite nice to make sure this it's nice and light at the front, as we made the effort to make that a bit darker. Just taking a bit of time to have a look and looking back at my reference photo. I'm liking it. The pencil marks are all in there still, so I think what I might do before we just do that little catch light and little bits of white gouache, I might whiz a hairdryer over it just to make sure all those parts are lovely and dry, and then we're going to rub those pencil marks out. Okay, let's get rid of some of these pencil marks. There's not many, but they're always nice to get rid of. So just be really mindful and make sure that it is properly dry. You've probably got that little line in there, so make sure you rub that one out around the head. Rid of that very gently. Now, some of you, so where we did the second layer and we whizzed it round and it went up against the neck, mine isn't very obvious. I probably managed to get quite close to the neck, or it got a bit, anyway. You may have a little tiny white line down there, or a little clearer line, so you can always very gently put a little bit of colour on your brush, and your little brush, just dibble it down and just squidge it with your finger if you need it. You may not need it. What was the other thing I was thinking of? Again, the eye, it's lovely to have that little bit of light out. Now, hopefully by halving the light like we did, the eye, and putting that little bit of shadowing on the top, it's left you with a nice clear yellow part. If not, then you can always take it out. So you can clean your little tiny brush and then just wipe the bottom away, and you should be left with something like that if yours got a little murky. So just do that. It will wipe away quite easily. And right, I think the last little bit is to put that little tiny line in the beak and a tiny catch light. It doesn't actually show a catch light, but I always like to put them in. So, but to start with, we're going to very gently, carefully run a little line down here. You don't have to go all the way along. It doesn't have to join up. You can do little patches of it. It's tiny, isn't it? Just give it a little wipe if you feel it's got a little strong. Yep, I think that's enough. A little line here. I don't think that's going to show up particularly well. Okay, let's put that catch light in right up on the eyeball, more to the sort of front. I normally, you may find you don't like it. I'm not sure whether I like it or not really. Mainly sometimes they don't work. When you've taken a nice chunk of light out at the bottom, sometimes you just don't need that little white catch light. If you don't like it, let it dry, and you can obviously pop a tiny little dot of grey over and backfill it. I don't think there was any other little tinkering bits that I thought of that my piece doesn't obviously show, but will be useful for you. I think I've covered it all. But again, just take your time. Look at your own piece. I know I always say this, but just step away, even if it's just to go and make a cup of tea and come back. I normally like to leave especially any commission pieces overnight, and I will tinker if necessary the next day. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this class. I've loved doing this. It's taken a while to get together. We've managed to get COVID, and one of the takes didn't take very well. So thank you for your patience if you've been waiting for this one. And if you enjoyed this class, please do leave a review. If the little message pings up on Skillshare, giving you the option to leave a review, I'm always very humbled and appreciate them greatly. So please do leave one if you feel you enjoyed it. So thank you.